Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who lost his hair because of an apocalypse. Frank, how are you today?
Wow. Really?
I know.
Yeah.
I could have got it a lot of directions.
It's true. It's an apocalypse called Bad Genes.
Bad genes.
Yeah.
Your
male pattern baldness.
Your mutated genes.
That's it. My mutated
bad
genes
hair, gave you
me
no hair.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Good morrow. How are you?
Good morrow to you as well. It's the even time.
It is. It's whatever the hell time it is. People listen to their podcasts. Hello, my friend.
Hello. Going back to the no hair thing, my wife and I said this about you in the wedding photos. You have a nice shaped head.
You are the third person in the past week, like the past week, to say those exact words.
That's great. That's great.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. What is it? Thank you. First of all, thank you. That's a very kind compliment.
You're welcome.
You paid me. But why do people keep saying that?
Well, not everyone does. Not everyone who's bald has a nice shaped head.
Thank you.
So you're very fortunate
I
that
am.
you have a nice one.
Apparently, I mean, people who could not be coordinating with one another are all telling me this. So unless you and my father-in-law are both talking behind my back, this is.
I can assure you that is not the case.
Right. So yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's very quite kind of you, and quite kind of your wife to say as well.
You're so welcome. We only speak the truth.
Funny. Wow,
here.
That's too funny.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. It's how have you been?
Oh, I've been just fine.
Yeah,
just fine.
Enjoying time off from the day job.
Yes, I am enjoying time off from the day job. Though the time off is ramping quickly. So now the equivalent is always June is Friday night, July is Saturday, and
August is Sunday.
But it's really like Sunday evening. It's just like this perpetual feeling of like, oh, here we go again. We're revving the engines. We're doing it again. So now my brain is like starting to like start becoming. It's in work mode now. It's like getting to that place. So, I might not be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but vacation's winding down real fast.
I hear you. It's probably worth mentioning because this varies from place to place, but in New England and in most of the northeastern United States, school doesn't start.
Old New England.
Precisely. Here in jolly old New England, the school year usually kicks off first week of September, right?
Last week in August, first week in September.
There you go. So
depending
some
on
folks
snow days and whatever else.
Right. In some parts of the country, it'll kick off in August or whatever. So it's just worth mentioning, I guess.
Right.
You've got a bit of time. That's good. I'm glad. I had a lovely weekend up in Maine, away in the wilderness. It was just what I needed. It's a nice recharge. But I'm back and ready to chat with you. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Short Path Summer Gin, which I had never really encountered a summer gin before, and I was like, what is this? Because it's purple and stuff. And so let me tell you about it. Inspired by the wild juniper and blueberries that line the coast of Acadia National Park, our summer gin captures the essence of the Maine summers Zach and Jackson enjoyed growing up in the Mount Desert Island. A blend of fragrant botanicals, juniper, and sweet fruit result in a smooth, soothing gin best sipped on a hot summer day while relaxing on the porch. It's actually pretty mellow out right now, and I'm in my office, not on the porch, but it's still nice.
Wow, is that the color?
Yeah, right.
It is purple. Wow. I thought
almost
it
looks
a purple label, a purple bottle, but it's actually
the gin is purple. It's almost it's got the fruity liqueur.
Nice.
It's almost the color of like a Merlot. Or something like
so
that.
I guess that's the blueberry, huh?
Mm-hmm. I would think so.
That's so cool.
I would think
is
so.
It
could be the juniper actually?
Is it like syrupy or is it? How would you describe it?
It's
a
a
mouthfeel.
It's a little heavier than regular gin, maybe a little syrupy.
But not too sweet, not too syrupy.
No, it's definitely not too sweet. It's just enough, and it kind of mellows the more gasoline flavor of some gin. Yeah. Some people don't take to gin, but this has a fruity flavor.
Oh,
it's definitely more blueberry than anything else.
Nice.
Although honestly, I couldn't tell you what wild juniper tastes like. To be totally honest, don't know what that is. The only thing I know about juniper is the fairy tale of the juniper tree, which is messed up. If nobody knows that story,
I don't.
It is. Oh, allow me to regale you really fast. I'll do the really, really fast version. Okay, so the juniper tree is about this stepmom and dad and two little kids. Of course, it's always an evil stepmother in these stories, and so the dad's like, blah, 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 don't care about life, going off, see you later, and I'll be back eventually. And the stepmom is like, man, I hate that kid. My own daughter's fine, but man, do I hate that little boy. And so she's like, little boy, come here and look in this chest. And he's like, okay, stepmother. And she slams the chest down on his neck and kills him.
Whoa!
Right. I know. So then she's like, oh, man, I've killed him. I better make sure that my daughter thinks that she's the one that killed him. So she sets the body back up, wraps a scarf around the severed head.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Right, exactly. And then so like the daughter goes over to him and she's like, oh, it's time for dinner. And she touches him and his head falls off. And she's like, oh my God, I've killed my brother. And she's like, don't worry. We'll cut him into bits and stick him in the food and nobody will know. It's not your fault. I know your face is amazing right now. So, so then the dad comes home and he's like, where's my son? I haven't seen him. And they're like, oh, he's off somewhere. And he's like, cool, let's eat dinner. And then so they're eating dinner. He's like, this is the best stew in the world. And they're like, yes, it is. It's great. So the dad eats his own son. And then the boy gets reincarnated as this bird who goes into town and starts singing to all these different people. And he's like, do juniper tree, I'll sing for you if you give me that giant stone, and I'll sing for you if you give me this golden thing, and so on and so on. And all the people in the town are like, oh my God, yay, little bird, it's singing, it's amazing. So this little bird gets all the stuff, and it goes to the mom. This reincarnated kid goes to the mom, and then he's like, la 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 la, juniper tree, la 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 la. And the mom is like, it's driving me crazy. It's kind of like the Raven, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, where the Raven drives him insane. And she like freaks out and then runs outside, and then the boy drops this giant stone on her and she dies. And then he turns back into a boy, and the father's like, good riddance. And then they all go in and live happily ever after.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really, really deeply messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is. And I didn't do it justice. It's like so much worse. But
I bet.
But it's great. There's the Philip Pullman, the guy who wrote his Dark Materials, like the Golden Compass and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He did a kind of rewording of Grimm's fairy tales. And so if anybody's interested in not reading like Grimm's fairy tales, but reading like a maybe airier, easier to read version, check out his retellings of the Juniper Tree. It's so good. It's great. I know.
That is some it's messed up.
Mm-hmm. Disneyfy that.
Well,
Disneyfy that, Eisner.
On that note, I'm drinking a
Oh God, we haven't even gotten to the topic yet.
I don't even have a story for this. I feel like I have to like pay the piper. I feel like there's like now I have to reciprocate. I'm drinking a New Belgium Citradelic Tangerine IPA.
That's great.
Right?
What an yeah.
New Belgium is doing these really cool new like experimental series of stuff. And I got a 12-pack of a bunch. It's a couple of new ones and a couple of old ones. So you got your Fat Tire, your Voodoo Ranger, that kind of stuff. But then this is a Tangerine IPA, and it is a citrusy but hoppy IPA, and it's actually really, really good. It's tangerine gives it a little bit of a different flavor than like an orange or lemon, like you would get from other citrus fruits. But
I just had a tangerine beer. I just had a Clown Shoes, and that one was Clementine. It wasn't Tangerine.
Clementine, yeah,
it was Clementine. Yeah. But yeah, I love the citrus beers. They're
so good, so good. So this one's very refreshing for the summer. For an IPA. So I guess there once was a tangerine, and it killed a bunch of people, and now we tell stories about it to our children till they'll behave and not. I don't know what the lesson of the story you just told was. I'm sorry.
I mean, getting children to behave is perfect. That's all good. The juniper tree one is like the beginning of the story is the passing of the seasons of the juniper tree reflect the mother's pregnancy of the boy. And then, and then she gives birth, and then she dies just as leaves die in winter and stuff like that. That's where her death is the original is death has died to the death of the leaves on the tree, and then the stepmother comes in the spring, and so life begins anew. It's like all tied back to that moment right there. But I skipped that part of the story because that's not the bit where she cuts off her stepson's head with a truck.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That story's a little up and down. It's a little hit or miss. Through no fault of yours, the telling of it. It just sounds like the story is just not the best story I've ever heard. Much like a certain film franchise that I would consider as sort of hit or miss, up and down. Certain parts are not so great, and not always at the fault of the people telling the story.
Star Wars. No,
nope.
Just kidding. Everyone is perfect.
Not
Everyone's perfect.
Yeah.
Nope. Hold on. I'll keep going. Terminator. No,
nope.
Everyone's perfect.
Well, wouldn't go that far.
No, Frank, you're talking about, please, some are up and down, some are not at the fault of the people. That means you're talking about the X-Men franchise.
Sure am.
Yeah,
I sure am.
Now, Frank, you are just okay with the X-Men, if I remember correctly. You're like, the X-Men are there. They're certainly people inside a comic book, and I've seen some of their work.
That is true. On the whole, that is true. I have read some X-Men stories that really, I really enjoy. But on the whole, as a team, it's not my favorite team. I would much rather read the Avengers or the Justice League, or something of that variety. Those are stories that I'm just more, in tune with. But the X-Men, I understand the significance and the importance of them, and I have enjoyed the odd X-Men film here and there. But the franchise has been really stop and go, and I keep coming back to hit or miss, and that really feels like the most accurate description. Is that how you would characterize it as well?
Absolutely. It's very hit or miss. I think it's such an important film franchise because it's not just about like the X-Men, but X-Men really kicked off the world of superhero filmmaking that we're still living in.
Yeah.
So a lot of people credit, not as many as it should, but a lot of people credit Blade because that was like people will go to this. But most people didn't even know Blade was a Marvel film, never mind like a comic book character, because he was very C-list. He never even had his own title. He was a character in Tomb of Dracula, and so not until his own film where people were like, oh, Blade, I see. So, and then so I would say that X-Men is really the thing that kicks everybody off into the stratosphere. And then it certainly died with a whimper. And that is like it's almost like a great figure of history. Like it's like George Washington, leads America to, independence, dies of the cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what the X-Men film franchise is. Moments of greatness and then dies with a cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of Boba Fett, just goes out like a chump.
It does go out like a chump.
Fizzles out.
Due to budget constraints and studio interference, it goes out like a chump, just like Boba Fett.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, do you remember seeing like the first X-Men film in theaters? Were you too young? Anything like that?
I wasn't interested at the time, frankly, because I knew I wasn't that interested in the franchise. And comic book movies were not yet the machine that they are now.
Oh, definitely not. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it later. I think the first one I really remember seeing in theaters was probably First Class.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, by the time I would have cared, because X 1, 2, and 3, I was just sort of like meh, in terms of my interest level. And that was, yeah. But by the time we got to X-Men Origins Wolverine, that was the one that leaked online.
Yep, I remember that. Oh,
so I may have fallen off the back of a truck into my lap, and I swear, Your Honor. And then First Class, I paid good hard-earned money to go see in the theater, and enjoyed immensely. And it kind of goes up and down from there. But do you remember seeing the first one in theaters?
Oh yeah, I was in 8th grade, I think 7th, 8th grade, and I remember getting dropped off at the movie theater because it came out summer vacation. So I remember getting dropped off at the movie theater at noon, like early, like drop me off an hour before the movie theater opens. There's going to be tons of lines. I got to be there. There's like maybe 6 people outside waiting to get in to see X-Men. Right. And so, but that's okay. That's better because I got in no problem. And it's funny. I remember, that age. I grew up watching the 90s cartoon.
Right.
So I was a big X-Men fan and still am. And so I remember watching the first one and thinking, man, whoever's playing Magneto is way too old. That's where's the relationship between Sabretooth and Wolverine? I fanboyed on it. In this is not good. Their costumes are dumb. Some of the dialogue is dumb, which I still hold true. Is not okay today. But there are some really great moments in it. And because at that point, 2000, there was nothing. So, take what you can get. Here's Nick Fury starring David Hasselhoff and X-Men. If you don't like it, too bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but I've seen every single film. I remember seeing every single film in theaters, maybe more than once, depending on the movie. They are definitively ranked for me. The X-Men: The Last Stand is a movie that comes close to me hating just as much as Iron Man 3.
Wow.
Yep.
Last Stand.
Last Stand, yeah.
So something about the third in these franchises.
I
is
know
where they just go off the deep end for you.
They go off the deep
saying
end.
Something that's for you to hate it almost as much as
Oh,
Spider-Man
yeah.
3, Iron Man 3, and X-Men:
Yeah.
The Last Stand. That is really saying something.
Yeah, my opinion of it has tempered over the years. So let's hold on. Before I get into that, let's do this in order, Frank.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
go through these
Fair.
films in order because otherwise we're going to jump all over the place. I'm gonna say let's give you a yay or a nay, whether you like it or you don't like it.
Okay.
And tell me why you like it or you don't like it. Okay. We won't have to definitively rank them, but I will ask for your definitive ranking by the end of the episode. So be ready.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Because
going to start taking notes.
Okay, great. So X-Men 2000, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. Is it good?
Yeah.
Does
it's
it
good.
hold up? Let's ask that question.
Ooh.
Does it hold up?
Probably not. It probably doesn't hold up against today's Marvel films or today's superhero films.
It's
But
real by the numbers.
It's
yeah.
real by the numbers, but for its time, really good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real by the numbers. Some things work, some things don't. I don't like Anna Paquin's Rogue. Obviously, Hugh Jackman's great. Patrick Stewart's great. Halle Berry's okay. Famke Janssen as Jean Grey's not given much to do. James Marsden is not given much to do as Cyclops, and he's one of my faves. Ian McKellen is superb. Ray Park as Toad is good. So there's stuff that really works in it. Mystique is not given tons to do. Rebecca Romaine, I think it was Rebecca Romaine Stamos
At the time, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and not given tons to do, but she really built that part into something, and a career for that matter. Out of a part where she walked around naked and barely said a word, like she actually built a career out of that. So you got to give the woman credit.
And she has acting chops. Like let's not neglect
That's
that.
that's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
what I mean. Like people were like, "Who's this?" She's a model, and and then she became an actress because of that. She plays Lois Lane in the Superman animated films now. She's
That's right.
great.
Yeah, no, she absolutely
she's
is.
excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
X2.
Yeah.
Just an A for you, really. This is considered one of the best ones. Tell me more.
Yeah. The first three kind of. I don't know if it's. I think there's something about Doherty and Harris as writers.
Okay.
Because on first watch, first watch, not first class. I was not the biggest fan of this film. I have with time come to appreciate it more. I think it's I think it has to do with the third act. I feel like it to say it has third act problems is probably too strong a statement, but I feel like it's just not
third act problems.
It has third act problems. Is that anything with Kevin Smith? What am I thinking of?
No, that's Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh, from Beta Male.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just it's still kind of paint by numbers. And the third act doesn't quite bring it home for me. But I know that I don't have the most popular opinion of that film. So
I think it's much better than the first one. I think it's a little slow. I think Bryan Singer's films, period, are really slow. Most of them, they're very methodical, and that doesn't always work in an action franchise. But he does juggle characters very well. Almost everybody kind of has something to do. Cyclops again has nothing to do. But when he really likes a character, like he really likes Wolverine, he really likes Magneto, and they get stuff. And and Hugh Jackman and Ian McKellen bring it in this film. And
absolutely.
And Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler is excellent. The assault on the White House is still one of the best sequences in any superhero film. It's really, really outstanding. So well choreographed. The graphics hold up. And so I think it still earns kind of its place of honor in good filmmaking, good X-Men film. It's got all the things right. It doesn't offend any comic storyline or get people angry about things, and that's really important, especially then when they're like X-Men kind of paved the way for people being okay with changes in superhero films, if that makes sense. Because now think about it, like the MCU changes stuff about superheroes all the time and their origins like when they meet in this storyline, and people are like, great, no problem. Most of the time.
It took time for, and honestly, these films kind of paved the way in a lot of respects for a lot of different things that we can probably get to later. But I think that's one of those things that they were very good about sticking to, like the stories, like the origin stories, for the most part with these characters, because that was the expectation at the time.
Yes, right. That you have to do exactly what was on the page, now that you have to do that on screen. And that's where X-Men The Last Stand comes in, where this film, talk about complications, Bryan Singer was supposed to return, and he didn't. He went off and made Superman Returns instead, if you want to talk about deviating from the page, but on retrospect, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But also talk about a slow burn, if you want, things like that. Last Stand, directed by Brett Ratner, came in and they mushed too much together. And it was supposed to just be Phoenix. It was just supposed to be Dark Phoenix, and I think Sigourney Weaver was even lined up to play Emma Frost, and they, all this stuff was kind of ready to go 2 weeks before. It was like, now let's also do this mutant cure thing that's happening in the comics right now, because this is when Joss Whedon's run kind of was in. Wow, talking about a lot of
run.
Yeah, really, it's a really great run. Brought back Kitty Pryde and Colossus, and that's a great X-Men storyline. You want to talk about the X-Men franchise being like bombarded by like male sexual predators, though.
Oh God, yeah.
Like all at once in this weird era of Bryan Singer and Brett Ratner and Joss Whedon all at the same time working on the X-Men. Very strange. So anyway, talk about it's one of those films where it's like you mushed too much stuff into one film, and then you didn't really understand the characters that you had, and then all your supplementary characters, you were like, oh, they're mutants, they can jump high because that's what all mutants can do. No,
Yeah.
it becomes very generic,
Extremely generic. Yes, that's right. I fully agree with that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's just Simon Kinberg co-wrote that movie.
He sure did. Simon Kinberg's real hit or miss. He's either really on it or he's way off base. But Simon Kinberg's been involved with the X-Men for a long time. Even Kevin Feige got his start on the X-Men films. And
That's
so
right.
you
not
could,
Spider-Man? I thought he started on Spider-Man.
I think he started on X-Men.
Okay.
Do you want to use one lookup for that? Because I know I'm pretty sure he was like the assistant to Avi Arad at first or something like that, and Avi had his hands in all of it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it was X-Men.
Okay.
But Last Stand is a film where I'll look at now and be like, look, you gave us Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and I will be eternally grateful for that.
Seriously, that is one of the best bits of casting. I wish we could keep Kelsey Grammer as Beast like for as long as there are X-Men movies. You know,
I agree.
It's one of those things that's just
bring
too
him
perfect.
back.
Like the same way that I hope we can, in some form, keep J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
As played by J.K. Simmons, yeah.
That's
I'm
right.
glad that they folded that into the MCU in some way, because that was just such pitch perfect casting. It's just a shame to let it go.
Yeah, there are some actors that do an excellent, superb, amazing job and can be replaced. I think Hugh Jackman is a great example of that.
Yeah,
Hugh
he
Jackman
could be replaced. He
Hugh
did a
Jackman
fantastic job, but could be replaced.
He's an excellent actor, wonderful Wolverine. Came out of nowhere to really steal that part right from under Doug Reese Scott's, like fingers, because Mission Impossible 2 was going too long. And so he was stuck doing Mission Impossible 2, terrible. And then so Hugh Jackman came in and did that. And so, but even I think Doug Reese Scott said like he would never. No, it was almost Russell Crowe's who turned it down. Did you know this?
Oh my God, Russell Crowe as Wolverine.
Yeah, so he was just Gladiator hadn't come out yet. He had just wrapped Gladiator, and they offered him Wolverine, and he said no because he didn't want to be known as quote the wolf guy because Maximus in Gladiator wears like a wolf crest on his armor, and he has a pet wolf. And he's like, and I thought it was going to be like this thing. It was going to be this big deal for Gladiator, and then I didn't want to be known as like the wolf guy, so I turned it down. And he said, and nobody ever mentions the wolf thing in Gladiator ever.
No,
that is not essential to the story in any way. And so he turned it down, but he did say that he would never carry it through with the grace that Hugh Jackman did. And so he said, he's like, it was meant to be that way. And he's like, I'm so happy that fellow Australian Hugh Jackman was able to kind of take that and nurture it, which I thought was really. I like Russell Crowe. He's
so do I.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot, and the interview is great. I think it's Howard Stern. I would recommend looking at the interview.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was. He would have been a great Wolverine, though, especially in that. Like he would have been excellent. Yeah, I think it would have been hard not to see him as Russell Crowe, but he would have been excellent.
That's the thing. Yeah, Hugh Jackman. I mean, he wasn't a household name yet. I actually knew of him, because Classic Frank I had seen on PBS on Great Performances. There was a version of Oklahoma. Yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah. I had seen that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had seen him in that already. And so I knew of him as like a song and dance man. And then they were like, yeah, this Australian guy is going to play Wolverine. And I was like, what? And then when he did Les Mis, people were like, Wolverine can sing? And I was like, yes, that was the first thing I saw him in. He was singing in something.
He was singing.
Yeah.
He played Gaston on Australian Broadway.
Oh, that's cool.
In Beauty and the Beast. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's clips of it online. You can't see the whole thing, but there's a great.
I bet he was great.
There's Graham Norton had
I love Graham Norton.
had Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton and Luke Evans on all at once, and Luke Evans played Gaston in the film.
Right.
Taron Egerton can sing, and Hugh Jackman played Gaston on Broadway. So he had them do Gaston together, and Taron Egerton played LeFou. And that it's really it's great. It's such good fun. Please put I might watch it when we're done recording.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find that and put it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's real good. And there's rumors that Taron Egerton might be in line to play Wolverine in the future. So that means Graham Norton at one point had all three Wolverines.
Right.
Like he would have had because Luke Evans was never had all three.
Oh no. That's right.
2 Gastons and 2 Wolverines in the same place. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. But man, good stuff.
Wow. Oh yeah, Luke Evans and Hugh Jackman's Gaston sing off. Oh my god. Yep. I cannot wait to watch this later. Stop playing now. Not right now. YouTube.
Let's move on. So then Fox was like, "Hey, what if we did X-Men spin-off films? Let's do Wolverine first because he's the most popular, and then we'll do a Magneto spin-off where he hunts Nazis." And everyone was like, "Yes, do it, God, please." Then X-Men Origins Wolverine came out, and everyone was like, "Please, God, stop! What are you doing? Please, why do you hate us? Why are you ruining characters that we love and have made you so much money?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because this is also the era. Because if the X-Men is known for one thing, it's not paying attention to continuity in the comics, which is hilarious because the movies also don't pay attention to their own continuity. And I think that is just kind of the best. Like, it's not any other superhero franchise that like demolishes its own internal continuity like the X-Men franchise and the X-Men comics on the same level. And I love that. There's actually a great podcast if you want to link it. It's called Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men, X-Explain the X-Men.
Oh,
and they
funny.
literally go through every era of the X-Men explaining the continuity. And they're almost up to 300 episodes now. They've been going a long time. Yeah, they're out of Oregon, and the episodes are super fun, and you don't have to have read the issues to have a good time listening.
Oh, that's
Would
good.
recommend.
I like that. All right. Yes, this is going in the show notes right now.
Would recommend. I think it used to be called Rachel Miles Explain the X-Men, and so now it's Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men.
Gotcha.
In case anyone gets confused. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth, really solid.
Yeah, surprisingly, I wouldn't have thought so, but actually quite good.
That stuff. That stuff's good. Actually, even Taylor Kitsch as Gambit, not terrible. There's some actual good stuff in there.
I think this movie got a worse rap than it deserved. It's not a very good movie, but it got a worse rap than it deserved.
It's definitely watchable, and it's certainly more watchable than a lot of comic book films out there. Even modern comic book films like X-Men Origins Wolverine, not terrible. It's not great. It's not Logan or anything like that, but it's not Infinity War or Endgame or anything like that. But it's not terrible. It's really Deadpool that kills that movie. That's the bit that's not good.
Yeah,
Deadpool's where it fails, but that's okay. Getting to what I assume is your favorite one, X-Men First Class.
It's so good. Yes, it's my favorite one. It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. This is the Matthew Vaughn. It's like a bit of like a reboot, but not really. It's hey, what's the origin of the X-Men?
It's
and
the
this
Kelvin
one's also
timeline, right?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, it's like the X-Men ignoring their own continuity to then reshift their continuity again with Days of Future Past. But X-Men First Class, going to see this, and I remember seeing this in theaters, and I walked out and said, this is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. And I still think that's true. It's so fun. It's so good. Everybody is spot on. It's pitch perfect casting. This was the X-Men Origins Magneto movie that turned itself into a whole X-Men film.
Yeah, because they were going to do a whole set of X-Men Origins, one character at a time, and Wolverine was the first one because he's the most popular character, arguably. But they kind of pivoted this from Magneto to what we now know as First Class, and oh my god, how it's so good. It's so freaking good. And written by Ash Miller and Zach Stentz, who I think the same year as Thor came out, or the year after Thor came out, they were on a roll. They wrote Thor.
2011 is, I don't know when Thor came out.
I think Thor came out 2010. I'll use my lookup for that one. That one I'm willing to.
2010. I think they were pretty much on a roll. Zach Stentz. Good for Zach Stentz.
Thor is 2011. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, same year. They wrote both those films. Fantastic, blockbuster, A+, like critically acclaimed films. Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So good. Yeah.
I think X-Men First Class succeeds on its. I mean, the story's fine and it's good. Actually, it's really good and it's fun. The story succeeds on its casting. It's so strong. I think it's even stronger than the original. It's stronger than the original films.
I would. I think that's no contest for me. It is far stronger.
And I think even so, like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are fantastic in their roles. Honestly, I think James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are better.
They bring a different energy.
Yes.
They bring more, maybe possibly more charisma.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were already in their 50s and 60s when First Class, when the X-Men came out. So, and now you're talking, it's young blood, basically. It's real young energy, but man, do they have screen charisma.
Oh,
they have
boy.
like movie star charisma. And that, and I think like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen have like talented charisma, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because they're great and I love them. But McAvoy and Fassbender have movie star plus talent charisma. It's a different.
It is different. It's a different kind of energy they bring. I want to say that they brought more passion, maybe for these roles, or they inhabited the roles more fully in a way that Stewart and McKellen maybe didn't take it as seriously because it was a comic book film and they were sort of like not sold on the seriousness of it.
Well, I don't think that's actually true because because Stewart came from Star Trek. It's not like he doesn't have a history with sci-fi,
and of course McKellen.
He did Gandalf. It was X-Men, and then he immediately went and did Gandalf, and before that he was in stuff like The Shadow and everything so he's not like
I suppose
opposed to fantasy sci-fi type of things.
There's just such a different energy to First Class that is hard to quantify, but it's such a fantastic film.
In some ways, what I think part of that energy is how far superhero films came in that 11 years.
That's right.
I think that's a really big part of it, and what they're allowed to do. I mean, heck, even like what Fassbender gets to do as Magneto is just cooler than what Ian McKellen's scripts called for. And as much as he's a good Magneto, Fassbender's like, I'm hunting Nazis in the first one.
Right.
That's awesome. I'm going to take a knife and fly it through the air and stab this guy and come back and stab the guy in the hand after I took it out of his hand to stab that guy. Like,
yep.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. And then he shows up at the end and the helmet is purple and he's wearing the red garb suit and it's just so cool. I'm going to watch it soon.
It's an exciting movie. It gets you excited in a way that I don't think many of the previous films really do.
No, I agree. I think that's a Matthew Vaughn energy because he's real good about like bringing you into the feels.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. But I also think I think that the writing really did a lot too. I think that it really, really there's a lot of character moments and there's a lot of just they really brought the characters to life and made them feel more real. But yeah, all right. So that's First Class.
And then there's the Wolverine, which is, I think it's good. The third act falls a little bit off the rails, but the majority of it, it's cool. It's cool. It's Wolverine fighting ninjas in Japan. Like it's fun. It's got a kind of a low grade energy to it though. Like it almost needs like an adrenaline boost, which is saying something considering he's on like a bullet train at one point.
Yeah, I feel that though. I feel that low energy. Darren Aronofsky was first tapped to direct this film. I would have really liked to have seen what that would have looked like. I think that would have been a very interesting to have like an auteur director come in and do something like that.
Well, the Wolverine is directed by James Mangold, who is not exactly your big blockbuster director. You know, he also directed Logan,
which
So-
we'll get there, but man.
right? But I mean, James Mangold is Walk the Line, Girl Interrupted.
Another,
Three
Walk the
Tenths
Line,
of
one of my
Yuma.
all-time favorite films.
Yeah.
So I'm not bagging on James Mangold, but the film didn't have the energy that I wanted.
No, it feels a little bit like Mangold versus studio. You know, like you can kind of
That's
feel
what it
that.
feels like.
Yeah, and when the studio allowed him to maybe make Logan the way he wanted to make it, that's when it became something. Because the Mangold stuff, I think, in the Wolverine really works, and when it's like studio, like we got to make a comic book movie, that's when it doesn't work. And so
it's hard for me to tell what's what.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so so it's good, but not great.
Yeah,
but no, it
it's
is
fine.
great. But no, it is great though. X-Men: Days of Future Past.
That's solid.
It's so solid. It is Crisis on Infinite Earths before Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes, that's right.
Bring them all together. Make it awesome. Everybody brings their game. Every single person is so freaking good.
My God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like this, it continued the momentum from First Class in my book.
Yes, I agree. Even for a Bryan Singer film, it continued the momentum.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which, as we talked about before, sometimes his films are slow plotted, but this really and also Simon Kinberg involved in this film. Wrote this film, but it's just fantastic blending of the worlds. Peter Dinklage, mwah.
To Peter Dinklage.
Chef's
I agree.
kiss.
Chef's kiss to Peter Dinklage. Actually, you know what? Real kiss, right on the lips. Give it to me. You know,
All right.
real.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
just because he's Peter Dinklage. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, of the franchise, and it's solidly plotted. It's well acted. It looks beautiful. Everybody works. They try to bridge the gap a little bit. You know, like Fassbender and McAvoy do Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen accents as opposed to their own in First Class. They try to bridge it a little bit more, and the Quicksilver scene.
Oh man.
It's like Nightcrawler level. It's got same that Bryan Singer does that really well. He does that, he thinks about that particular moment so well. Like how can I showcase this character?
Yes, he does. He's very good at character moments and bringing them to life in vivid visual ways.
Yes, he is. It's excellent. Speaking of vivid and visual, Deadpool is next.
Oh my God.
I think you could check out. We did an episode on Deadpool because we were certainly recording by the time that Deadpool came out. So
and we saw it together.
We did. So you can check out our Deadpool episode to hear more about Deadpool, how we bow at the feet of Deadpool. I think Deadpool is great. Deadpool's not a favorite character of mine. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy when he's there, but I don't seek him out. But I love me some Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. He was able to redeem himself, not just for his crappy not his choice, but crappy Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but also his crappy Green Lantern, also probably not his choice. So
yeah,
you know,
they made fun of Green Lantern in the opening credits of Deadpool.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. It's so good. I love a good meta story. You know that. I love good meta references, and so I'm there for Deadpool. The story itself. Like if you take out the jokes, if you take out the fourth wall breaking and things like that, it's really just okay. It's
just okay.
It's very A to B. But you want to talk about a film that knows how to hide its budget.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's where the genius of Deadpool is. It was made for something like $80 million, which is nothing for an action film, particularly by the time that Deadpool came out. You're talking movies spend up to $300 million on an action film, and you have Deadpool for $80 million, and it blows everybody out of the water. It makes almost $1 billion.
It made 10 times that.
Yeah, they get almost made $800 million at the box office. One of the first successful rated R comic book films, if not the really most successful. It definitely is the most successful, I should say. But and then Fox kind of screws the pooch, and they come out with X-Men Apocalypse, which for my money, not actually terrible. I think it's just very generic. This is where I've coined it would have been great in 1995.
Yes, that's what this was. That's what this was. But by the standards of today, didn't quite hit the mark.
That's right. It's funny because Brian Vaughn, director of X-Men First Class, pitched Days of Future Past. He pitched 3 films, and he was like, we're going to do First Class, and then we're going to do X-Men in like my version of the X-Men fully formed, and then we're going to do Days of Future Past as the end. And Fox was like, we love Days of Future Past, let's do that next. And Brian Vaughn was like, Matthew Vaughn was like, but where will you go from there? There's nowhere to go. That's the end of the franchise. Like, that's it. It caps off, and they're like, we'll figure it out. And
Sir, you don't understand. Money.
Right. But I understand. But that's where we get Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, is because Fox was like, no, Days of Future Past now. We don't want just an X-Men film. We have those.
Right.
But it's just what could have been. What could have been.
Had they had the patience to let it build, they may have had something really, really great.
They would have had something, for my money, that is still continuing. They could have really Yep. Well, I mean,
so.
I'm sure the merger with Disney and everything kind of would like put that, that would, but it's such an important film franchise to just like flop at the end with some excellent actors. It's really sad. But what they didn't do, they listened to their instincts and they let James Mangold back, and they did Logan. A nice cap off. See, they capped off Wolverine the way they should have capped off the X-Men.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would not have been upset if they had let barring Deadpool 2, which we'll talk about in a second, I would not have been upset if they had sort of let the X-Men franchise end with Logan. And it's been like, we're flashing forward to the future, and this is the end of this timeline, right? Mm-hmm. Deadpool is sort of a pocket universe, not a pocket universe, but it's a different character in the same timeline. It's fine to tell his stories separately, but I would have been fine with letting that go.
Yep,
just let that be the good send off for those characters.
Completely agree with you. It really is it is a really well made film. Not even just a comic book film. It's just a really well made film. And I think that even actually the Deadpool films don't take place in the timeline of Logan, because Logan's in the future. So heck, you could have made Deadpool's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 and still not have reached Logan. It wouldn't really matter. So
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah. Again, you can check out our Logan episode for more Logan love. Famous actor Logan Love, and then so Deadpool 2, which I don't think is nearly as good as Deadpool. In fact, I was disappointed by Deadpool 2. I think it's very much like a celebratory clap on the back for itself. It's like, yeah, we're funny. It was fun. We make films.
I remember liking it more than you did, and I probably still do like it more than you did. But I thought it was fun. I see your point, and I see where you're coming from on that. I think it was fun, but you're right. It did not come up to the level of Deadpool 1, and it certainly doesn't rise to the level of a lot of these other films either.
Nope, not even close. And then we hit Dark Phoenix, which you did not see, which I did see. So I'll wrap this up fairly quickly. It's not as bad as the reviews say it is. It's like X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's not as bad.
Is it in that really? Okay.
It's not. No, it's actually pretty good, and in some ways, it's actually a good wrap up to the franchise. Not great wrap up, not Logan wrap up or Days of Future Past wrap up, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's well acted. The story's cohesive. It definitely in some ways suffered from rewrites, because the Skrulls were supposed to be in it. And then Captain Marvel came out, and they went, oh no! So they changed the name of the Skrulls to a different alien in the Marvel universe that first appeared in the Avengers comic, ironically. And then
they can do that.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
they can use an Avenger. Okay,
yeah, I think at that point they were like, whatever, it's Disney now, doesn't matter.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, and so things kind of got reshuffled, kind of in the way that The Last Stand got reshuffled. And it suffers from different problems, but also kind of the same problems. But if you're a fan of the franchise, you should see it to kind of wrap up, because you know what? McAvoy still brings it. Fassbender still brings it. And then ultimately, and that's what's most important in the new phase of the X-Men movies.
That's true. That's true. I'll watch it at home, but I honestly, the reviews were so disappointing, and I'm already so hot and cold on the franchise that I was sort of like, you know what, that's fine. I'll catch it on HBO. You know?
Oh yeah, I think catching it on HBO would be just fine. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's as bad. Actually, I think it's a little bit better than Apocalypse. Honestly, it's actually got the X-Men. It's actually got the X-Men working as a team, like a really cohesive team, and that's real fun to see because we don't really see that in many of the films. They're kind of individuals who have powers, who are the X-Men, but this one you see them working together. This is the stuff we've practiced, guys.
Okay.
Let's do it, and that is kind of worth it to me.
You are validating my choices, though, because you know what I did with Apocalypse?
Not
Caught
see
it
it.
on HBO.
Oh yeah, catch it on HBO.
So
Catch it on the bow. Yeah. Mm-mm.
yeah, catch it on the bow. Yeah.
Catch it
Yeah.
on the bow. All right. So
Yeah.
Frank, let me give me your ratings. Give me what are the best ones? What are the worst ones?
Okay. So I'm gonna on the fly here. I'm gonna attempt this. So I'm gonna say First Class, then Days of Future Past, then X-Men 2000, then Logan goes above X-Men 2000, and then X-Men 2000, then Deadpool, then X2, Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, Deadpool 2, Apocalypse, and I haven't seen Dark Phoenix, so that's off my list.
Wow. The X-Men Origins Wolverine is before the Wolverine for you. That was my big takeaway from
I didn't
from
like
your
the
list.
Wolverine very much.
That is crazy.
Like I said, it was slow
kinda
and plot.
love that.
It didn't really do it for me.
No, I kind of love that. Go with your gut. I like
Yeah.
that. Good.
Like I said, I didn't care for that film, and I thought that Origins was underrated. Not like it was a fantastic film, but I think people got distracted because of the leak, and they got to see it in a different environment than a not controlled environment, and the effects weren't done yet. Do you remember that? The effects were not done.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, arguably they weren't done when I watched the film either.
well,
but
that's the thing is that
yeah.
it didn't improve that much. But we saw an incomplete product first, and for some people that's all they saw, and that's like not fair. It's not a fair comparison. It was just okay, but like if it had just been just okay and didn't have the leak and you'd seen it on a big screen first, I feel like people would have had a different opinion of it. So I give it a little bit of I give it the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. Gavin Hood is the director of that film, and because people really talk about the movie as being like not great, but they never really talk about Gavin Hood, and I think that's great because he's not a terrible director. It's definitely a studio film more than a director's film. And I would encourage people to check out Eye in the Sky, starring Helen Mirren and Alan Rickman, if they want a good example of Gavin Hood being a good director.
He did Ender's Game.
Yeah, which is also not great. Studio
Okay.
film, definitely not great. Book is amazing.
Yeah,
Read the
I like
book.
the book.
Book's great. Oh, I didn't know you have read Ender's Game, Frank.
Long
I
time
love
ago.
Ender's Game. I've read it like at maybe 5 times. I love Ender's Game.
I like it. I like it a lot. I didn't like it that much, but I like it. I like it a lot.
I used to teach it, so I think.
Oh,
to be
right,
fair,
that's right. Yeah,
so
yeah,
I used to teach it. So anyway, all right. Here's my definitive ranking that'll probably change one day, but who's to say? X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, Logan, X2, X-Men, Deadpool, Dark Phoenix, The Wolverine, X-Men Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, X-Men The Last Stand, and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Wow. I did not expect Dark Phoenix to be that high in the list. That's my big takeaway.
Yeah, I told you it's not as bad as people say it is. And
Yeah.
I think it does justice to some characters that I like. It does justice to Cyclops, and out of 12 movies, I really needed to see that because he's like my top 3 X-Men. And
Yeah.
honestly, I would have and my second one is like Magneto, who's not really an X-Men. Sometimes he is some, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So I needed to see that, and I think that's why it kind of sits a little bit higher. I was like, justice for Cyclops. That was important to me. So
Justice for Cyclops.
#Justice for Cyclops. So, which I still don't think is exactly there yet, but it's as close as I've gotten in that franchise. So that puts it at a high risk, and I don't find it boring the way that I would find, say, The Wolverine, Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, Last Stand is infuriating. Origins is infuriating, but it has some good moments. So, yeah, I'm a good, as you know, I'm a good moment guy. You know, watch it for Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth. He's excellent.
He is.
He did a History Channel. He narrated a History Channel, or he hosted a History Channel History of Comic Book thing back in the right around the time that came out, which is an excellent condensed history of comic books. It's all on YouTube. Would recommend. I will find the link and send it to you. This is a filled with links episode. There's so many links. You know
Check
what?
the show notes, man. BeerWithGeeks.com.
We're gonna post it. We're gonna link a picture of Link just to from Zelda just to cap it all off. What's the address where we check it out? ThoughtBubbleAudio.com or BeerWithGeeks.com.
BeerWithGeeks.com/271 would be the easiest way to get to it. 271 this episode number.
Cool. All right, Frank. Well, you can also find us on BeerWithGeeks.com and Facebook.com and Gmail.com and Twitter.com at BeerWithGeeks and ThoughtBubbleAudio.com to check out all of our Thought Bubble Audio shows. Patreon.com/ThoughtBubbleAudio to give us some money to the show to talk about more things like the Spider-Man franchise. Let's do that one next. Where are the Spider-Man films? Let's do Spider-Man next.
Yeah, we could. We definitely could. And I have very strong opinions on that too. So we can definitely.
Don't we all? Excellent. All right. Well, Frank, I think I said all the things where the people can find us and the things and the whatever else. So do you have any final thoughts on the X-Men? Good for you. Great.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing the MCU take on the X-Men eventually when they get folded in to the continuity, because I think that will probably be, I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but I think that will probably be an X-Men portrayal that will make the most people happy.
I agree, and I honestly don't want to see it for a long time.
Same. I can wait. Give it some time.
I want to see other heroes and sequels for those heroes first. I want to see Justice for the Fantastic Four long before I see Justice for X-Men, because the Fantastic Four have yet to have a really good film, and the X-Men have several. So I'm fine to let them sit out for a while. No problem. The X-Men are a universe to themselves, and so they don't really need to be part of the MCU in any immediate manner. But, Frank, This was wonderful. This is a really long episode, so to you I say cheers.
Cheers.